Hi, it's Melinda from God's... Sorry, I just did a video for my other page, God's Breath Farm. So I was in God's Breath Farm mode. So this is Melinda from Hope When There Was None coming to you again. Can we just reshoot this? But no, we're live, so we're just going to keep going. I've been coming on the last few days to read out of my book, Call Me Master, and this is my memoir about surviving abuse. Now, I wrote this, it took me a long time. If you haven't watched my other videos, I am a survivor and thriver of childhood abuse as well as domestic violence later as an adult. Now, and I also had teen dating violence because I was with the same person. I had been with him many years, so we would have been married 20 plus years, or 20 years, and that would have been in 2012. We would have been married over 20 years. I don't know why this is so hard. I had a cup of coffee. I've been off of coffee for a while, so maybe that's what it is. Let's get started. So I've been skipping around. There are 50 chapters in the book. Now, they are small. This is not a Harry Potter book where it's going to be really thick. You can see it's really short. It's a quick read. From what I've been told, some people finished it in a matter of hours. So, I mean, it's not very long. I'm not a professional writer, though I do blog and so on. So, I mean, I still have a lot to learn, and I'm hoping I need to share this with a publisher. I need to get my butt in order and do some stuff before I get that done. I did reach out to them, though. I took a brave step, and I did reach out to somebody, and Cat Biggie Press. And so I just got to go ahead and take steps forward. So on that, let's go. I'm skipping to chapter 13. This one is Joined a Cult. Now, going back to my friend Mike had mentioned yesterday, Beto. Beto was my first boyfriend. Now, we broke. He was a nice guy. I really did a lot of pushing away. And I've mentioned this before in previous videos that sometimes we are so programmed to, when someone's nice to us, it just seems weird, especially if it's a romantic partner. Maybe it's just another person, depending on what type of abuse you had. So you might have a tendency to just push those nice people away because you think in your head you don't deserve to be treated that way, or maybe they're going to change and be mean to you. I don't know exactly what the rationale is in my mind, but I pushed him away. But I did later find out that he was a pretty good womanizer at the time. We were young, and I went out with him on chaperone dates. My parents would take us to the movie theater and sit in the couple rows behind us, or maybe it was the next row behind us. But anyway, it was chaperone. I was 14, 15, maybe 14. He was sweet, though. He really was. But anyway, it just brought up memories, thank you, Mike, of that time. And yeah, it was good. But again, I know I pushed him away. I did. I know I pushed him away. But let's go to chapter 13. So this one, I don't know who the quote is from, but I found it and I liked it. Do not allow him, the abuser, to tell you who you are or to take the blame for his actions. And again, I don't know who said that, but it's unknown. Joined a cult. During the course of my marriage, my faith grew. Not having much of a background religiously, I found great comfort in learning all I could about God. Religion had a mystical interest for me. My grandma Jenny and several aunts had told me about the saints and the angels, while my grandma Gwen had gave me comfort that Jesus was watching over me. Let's see, prayers to God, the angel Michael, and especially St. Jude were common for me to go to anytime I needed to feel safe or I was feeling afraid. I would glean information from world religions that gave me a broader concept and peace. So I was looking everywhere that I could. Hey, Miss Tina. I was looking everywhere where I could just to find solace and peace and answers. So during the planning of the wedding, we had found out we couldn't get married in a Catholic church because we weren't in regular attendance, nor were either of us going to catechism. I found a non-denominational church that didn't mind if we held our nuptials there, so we began attending regularly. Eventually, Will had gotten wary of attending, so we stopped going. Once I was pregnant with our son, Nathan, we started going again, and secretly I wish we stayed in fellowship longer, but he didn't like that. He didn't want to, he's very much an introvert, and nothing against introverts, but he also had a social disorder that anytime we were in social settings, even if hey, Miss Teresa, we went to a restaurant, we would walk in, he would immediately feel, and we didn't do that often, he would feel that everyone was looking at him. So he was very paranoid about that everyone's watching him. And it's not, let me just say that if somebody has it, it's not necessarily that you're a bad person, but I'm not saying that at all. Some of us have those kind of social disorders. My daughters, they have that as well, and that doesn't make I'm a narcissist or anything. So I want to just clarify there. Some folks just do that. Yes, and I walk into a room and yes, I hope all eyes are on me because I think I have that good energy. And it's not like a bold and hey, it's all about me. It's just, hey, I've got that good energy, that good mojo flowing. And now, I don't care if they're staring at me. That's fine. Unless I have a booger at my nose and then I get paranoid. And so we stopped going. I enjoyed the sermons deeply, even secretly bought a Bible for myself to read when Will is around. Yeah, I had to secretly buy a Bible. I know, I did. It was crazy. As time passed, we stopped attending church. We moved in 2002, and I found a church that felt very special to me. Everything seemed to click, and the people were so welcoming. This was in Lansing. It was the St. John Lutheran Church in Lansing. I loved it there. I really did. My spirit was soaring, despite the turmoil at home. And Will never went with me to that church. He didn't. And I'll get into what's going on. Despite the turmoil at home, I found great comfort at church. I attended as often as I could with the kids, and Will made sure he timed how long we were gone, and he would interrogate the kids to see if we had indeed gone to church. He would check my mileage for my gas, not my mileage for my gas, my mileage to see if where we were, because he knew how many miles it would take to get there. And this is pre-computer Googling that. And he would also know how long it would take me to get there and back. So he would question and interrogate the kids to find out if that's indeed where we went. He would also interrogate the kids to find out, hey, who did mom talk to? And how long did mom talk to this person? Of course, they were little. They had no concept. Any time, if it was longer than 5 minutes, was forever for them. So, but I just pretty much hi bye and left because I knew I had to be home by a certain time. For a brief time, I joined a women's group, choir, and a morning Bible study. Singing was very much a part of my life as a child. I participated in school from as long as I could remember. I would sing all the time. I stopped singing after Will had mentioned when we were first dating that I was too nasal. Naturally, I was excited about all these things at church, and of course, I had to ask permission to participate always. He was very hesitant, but allowed me to attend. I would get all my chores done prior and even made sure dinner or lunch was served. The kids bathed in the jammies if it was late. I had two separate evening activities. I went to one women's group meeting and practice for choir. Only halfway through, I had to leave. I was told by the voice over the phone that I had to quit both. Will would call me every 10 to 15 minutes to ask when I was done, who was there, and why is it taking so long. He accused me of having an affair with a church member or someone else. Perhaps I was banging the pastor. He saw these groups were taking too much time away from the family, even though I only went. And now I signed up, but I only got to go one time. It was taking too much time away from him. So, and they only last an hour long. They don't go for a long period of time, but that was too much time I was taking away from him. I grew restless and began to lean on my faith, reading my Bible more regularly. I made notes when a verse popped out at me, and the Bible was becoming very worn from the use. I grew bolder and would leave Will verses that spoke to me in his lunchbox or wallet. He would, sometimes he would scoff or make fun of me, saying the church is brainwashing me. Then there were other times we would discuss what the verse meant and why. And this would make me very excited because then I had hope. I had this glimmer of hope, again, hope when there was none, that maybe I was planting a seed. So one summer, I didn't ask Will for permission to go to church. One Sunday. I didn't ask him for permission to go to church. I figured we had a good week. I continued to pray for his salvation, our marriage, and difficulties to pass. Now, also, I prayed for myself, too, because it takes two to tango. So I did pray for myself for there to be a change in me. And I was reading The Power of the Praying Wife at the same time. So I was trying to do my best to change me, to have God work on him, too. So I would ask for help to be a good wife. So he was laying in bed, and the kids and I were getting ready for church, and he didn't say a word. He was listening to his music so loud that the windows were rattling. Now, sometimes he would listen in headphones, and then other times he would just blast the music. You couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear the kids if they were yelling and screaming. He had it on so loud. So let's see. Sometimes he would don a pair of headphones to listen. On this particular day, he was without headphones, which made me yell and wave at him to get his attention. I smiled, and he turned down the music and asked me where I was going. "To church. It's Sunday," I said. He glared at me and didn't say a word. "Okay, well, we'll be home for lunch," and I added, waving, and started to walk away. I grabbed my purse and my Bible, headed to the door. The music went quiet. I thought perhaps because he had turned it back on after I left, but then all of a sudden it went quiet. The music went quiet, and I thought maybe he had turned on the headphones, so I kept walking. And in a flash, he was like right behind me. He yanked me backward by my hair and yelled I wasn't going anywhere. I was so caught off guard that I fell over my feet with surprise. "You're staying home. You're not going to the effing cult that you belong to." He snatched my Bible from my hands, and he threw it against the wall, and he screamed that I was brainwashed by those people. I was crying and telling him it's okay. I need to let the kids know because they were in the van waiting for me. And I had to let them know what was taking so long and that we would just be staying home. The kids didn't have patience to sit through church anyway. So the Sunday ritual was just to save time for them and that we could all have peace. He stormed in my face and announced that I was never going to church again. He picked up my Bible from the floor and pointed that I had made him lose control, and now there was a hole in the wall because I was being so disobedient. According to him, the teachings of the church were apparently to disobey my husband. With a Bible in hand, he rushed to the bathroom. I could hear him flush the toilet, barking, "And you moron." And then he slammed the door to our bedroom. The music went back on, and the house was vibrating. I composed myself quickly and went out to see the kids, who were quiet. They could hear everything that was going on. They had concerned looks on their faces. Miranda had asked what I had done to make Dad mad. Now that really hurt. What did I do to make Dad mad? I cringed and told them to get back inside. Dad says we're staying home from church. The rest of the night was silent, and we all had strained smiles. No one dares to make a sound or even cause any trouble. At bedtime, Will announced to me that he was sorry and I can go to church, but not for a while. I was hurt, relieved, and saddened to hear the news. He told me he fished my Bible out of the toilet. He felt terrible and promised to get me a new one. It would be several years and another move later before the kids and I would go to church again. As promised, he attempted to buy me a new Bible during a shopping spree years after the incident, but I declined, saying no thank you, and I would keep it as it is. Now, that's shopping sprees are notorious for many. I would say for most narcissists, they tend to want to buy your love. They want to put on that appearance that they are wealthy, if they are not. And so you're like it's hand over fist for money at times. You are borrowing from Peter, and you know what I mean. So we're always broke. So and I have an asterisk here. In 2010, well after a year of leaving Will, Terry, Mr. Awesome, had brought me a KJV Bible from the church that we now belong to. That's Lowell Baptist in Lowell, Indiana. It means a lot, giving me renewed comfort, and it was given without any strings attached, and it had love with it. So it meant a lot to me that I had that. So I mean, it did. It had more meaning than the one from Will, and that's again, it's not pretty, I'm not proud of the things or the choices that I made. Hey, why didn't you just leave earlier? I mean, I had that question, and that bothered me for a long time. Hey, Miss Angie, I see you again. How are you? That question really bothered me for a long time, and I had a lot of mommy guilt from that for staying as long as I did. But sometimes, now, I mean, we deal with the situation, the hand that we're dealt with, and I was in survival mode. I didn't realize it then that there is a survival mode, and it was terrifying and scary, and I did what I did to keep myself safe, to keep the kids safe, and again, leaving at that time, my husband at that time, was scary for me. The whole world was scary because I didn't have a job, I didn't have money, I didn't have a car. How am I going to feed the kids? So all that stuff was scary to me, and so that's why I stayed. A lot of that is why I stayed, and just the unknown and the threats, of course, of harm of me, for the kids, for my family, if I left him. And I believed him, and many times he acted on his threats. It's not like he said, well, I'm going to go ahead and punch you in the face, and he didn't do it. He would do it, or whatever else, something sexual. He would make good on his threats, so I always believed him. Anyway, this is Melinda. I'm going to sign off. I'm going to come back tomorrow, and I don't know what I'm going to read tomorrow. Again, I'm just going to go where the Spirit leads me. And yeah, I think I'm going to read The Bad Girl tomorrow. That's chapter 15. I'm going to skip 14, which actually just goes into, it's short. I mean, it's really short. You probably can't see it. That's chapter 14. It's really short, but it talks about my purse checks, or my coat checks. My ex would go through my purse to see if I had anything inappropriate. He would complain that my purse was messy. I was a pig. I was disgusting, because my purse had wrappers in it, or whatever, normal woman's purse. He would go through my purse regularly. He wouldn't announce when he was going to. He would just snag my purse, or if I was outside or wherever, he would just grab my purse and start going through it. And then I was accountable for everything that was in my purse. So if I had a strange number in there, and I was doing lawn care at the time, and then I went to be an antique dealer, managing with his family. So if I had some random man's phone number, or woman's, because I mean, we're going to get into an area where I had always been, and I know this is like a truth bomb for somebody out there, there was always a same-sex attraction. Okay, let's just say it. I'm just going to put it out there. And I had that for years, even when I was a child. So I had that. I never acted on it. And I think, for me, and I've talked with a few other people that were abused. For me, I think it was because I found comfort in somebody that I deemed they wouldn't hurt me, and that would be the same sex. Well, they aren't going to hurt me because, the males in my life have hurt me. So going to the comfort of a female, they won't hurt me. Now, I know as an adult now, that's not necessarily true. I know several people that have went from having a heterosexual relationship, jumping into a relationship with the same-sex partner, and they also wind up with a narcissist or gaslighter or whatever. They are verbally abused or mentally. So it's not just in rationale. I don't know why. And it's psychology. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist. I'm not a counselor. I don't know why I had that thought, but I did. For some reason, I rationalized that, hey, another woman wouldn't hurt me. And again, now I know that's not true. But we did dive into that rabbit hole, if you want to. I did dive into that. Some of that was my own little thought and curiosity. So, I mean, I didn't go into this being innocent, just so you know. I am just as I'm sinful as anybody else, doing different things, saying different things, different words, different fantasies I had. So I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm not. Hey, Miss Lisa. So we will dive into that. And by the way, I just discovered that at that many years later that I couldn't be a lesbian. I just couldn't. I just decided, hey, I don't like that. So that was for me. That was a personal choice I made. I know, Lisa, you're like, what? That lifestyle wasn't for me. But yeah, we'll dive into that in later chapters. So I know some eyebrows are now probably being raised, but I want to share everything. I want to share the good, the bad, the ugly, and to know my situation, to know maybe to know me a little bit more. I think I have to be as genuine and honest as I can be. And so sharing all of this in my book, when I come out and do videos, I want you to see me and kind of get, okay, well, this is why she's like the way she is. But I want to be honest with you, and sharing my dirty laundry, sharing those intimate thoughts and dirty thoughts and the lifestyle choices that I made, it's when I made those choices, I kind of felt, like I said, I fell down a rabbit hole. And I felt like I couldn't get out. I really did. And we'll talk about swinging a little bit later on. Now, some of the stuff is going to be a little harsh. I'm not going to go in word for word. I'm not going to say, oh, I did this, this, and this. I'm not going to do that. It's handled, I think, very tactfully. My pastor has read my book. So I handled it very tactfully without giving too much information. But oh, she did that. Or, hey, they did this. So it's very, I guess, very tactful, if you want to say that. I don't know if it's tasteful, but it's tactful. But this is Melinda signing off. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor. If you know of somebody in your area, loved one, coworker, or just maybe a child right now is in a volatile situation, and you kind of have an inkling, or you kind of know that they're in a volatile situation, check on them. Think of a safe word for them to say if they're really in a dangerous situation or they need to contact you. Just reassure them that you are available to them, okay? Just to make sure that they're okay. Right now, many of us are under quarantine, and it's kind of scary for those that are living with an abuser right now. So please check on those folks. This is Melinda signing off. I will be back here tomorrow. I don't know about the time. It's going to be in the morning sometime, but I will see you tomorrow. Please stay safe. And yeah, if you have any questions or comments, please throw them down in the comment section. If you're watching this in a replay, we're going to do a hashtag fire emoji. So do that. Any comments, suggestions, I'd like to hear it all, or even your story. You're more than welcome to share it. Thanks again. Bye.